Hello, folks. My name's Elizabeth Price, and this is Seeing Ink Spots. It's my Facebook page for all things Stampin'. Today, it's all about upstyling your paper pumpkin kit from January. It's called Key to My Heart, and it's a beauty, folks. Today, we're gonna make 5 Valentines, and so I hope you will create along with me. I usually just use the paper pumpkin kit and a few added supplies, papers and things. This time what I've done is I've pulled in a floral set. Yes, so bring any flower stamp set you have and some matching dies and we can create together. Hello, Karen. Hello, Kat. So good to see both of you here. Michelle, hello as well. So now that we have some people on, I will officially begin with Good Thursday morning. It's time to stamp. Get your fingers sticky with glue, muck them up with some ink, and let's have some fun. So please do say hello. Tell me where you're from. Hello, Barbara. Good to have you here. Maggie, hello. Miss you. So fun to have people stamping along with me. So I mentioned it's about upstyling your paper pumpkin kit, Key to My Heart January box, right? So I am adding a flower stamp set with this one. It wouldn't be Valentine's if we didn't say it with flowers, okay? So I am adding True Beauty, which is a stamp set, and it has a matching set of dies called Organic Beauty. So I'm gonna use those, and you pull out whatever you have. It'll totally work. And let's have a good stamp session here. Hello, Deb. Awesome to have you here as well. So I'm gonna flip my camera, and we're gonna begin with business, as we always do, and then we're gonna stamp. So here's the hand, so sorry for that. One of these days, we'll figure out how to not have to have that. Okay. All right. Coming up. Well, today, we know that we are upstyling our paper pumpkin, the Key to My Heart. Next week is my Use It Up class. Now, this class is in the Seeing Ink Spots Backstage Pass. That is a private group. So I don't stamp just on the first Thursday of the month. Every Thursday at 10 o'clock, I have a class. I was going to say a camp. I have a class on Thursdays. And so the remainder of the month is in that Backstage Pass group, and anybody can become a member. How do you become a member? Join a class and then you're in. And these classes go back a couple years, so you can go back and watch all kinds of classes on many favorite stamp sets that you may have had. So next week, Use It Up. The kit came. If you had a purchase during January, you received this along with your Around the Bend kit. We're going to focus on the Country Bouquet stamp set and the papers with that sweet collection, along with the punch. Now, I know the punch is on back order, but it's coming back, so they say, the end of April. So it's coming, but fear not, you can still take class without this punch. You can use your scissors or even bring along just another heart punch, and that would totally work. So Diane McWilliams says, cold day here in the Adirondacks in northern New York. Yes. So I'm here in Idaho, and it's not all that cold, but yesterday was a chiller. Yeah, it's right in and around 25. So I think the northern New York might even be colder. Okay, so that's next week. The week after that, folks, oh my goodness, we have some fun stuff happening. You have a few more days to register for my Studio Ink Spots Park Days Stamp Camp. So this stamp camp is February 17th and the 23rd to the 25th. It's 4 days of stamping and having some good fun. Registration is open until the 10th if you would like to reserve a kit. after the 10th, you can get in on the online access only. Joining this would get you into the Backstage Group Pass. Let me know if you need more information. I will drop another link here today so that people can see that. But what's in this camp? What is this camp all about? Well, we're going to focus on the Sentimental Park bundle, along with all the beautiful Regency papers, Regency Park papers, the ribbon, the Milky Dots, and so many more things. I'll give you just a sneak peek. One of our classes, so there are 4 stamp sessions, and all of the stamp sessions are advanced Artfully Avid style classes. And so one of our classes, the last day, there's 2 classes the last day, but we're having a Fancy Folds class. And this is, I'll give you a sneak peek because I've actually posted this one, but this is a cool double accordion fold card that we'll be making. See how we're showcasing that beautiful paper and those gorgeous dies. All right, so that's coming up. Let me know if you need info. It's going to be fabulous. There are 4 options. There's a whole shebang option that includes a free celebration, plus it includes everything you need, all of the swag and the stamps and the dies. The next option is all of the kits and the swag, no stamps, no dies. And then the other 2, there's just online, and then there is an option where you can buy just the kit packets, so everything will be cut for you, but you'll have to provide all the swag. Okay, so in March, Taco Fiesta, that will be a class coming up. It's not the Upstyle, it's the Use It Up class. Just letting you know what's coming. There is an Upstyle class. And in March, I will be featuring in Technique Time, just so you know, the Delicate Desert Sweet Collection. Hoo-hoo, so pretty. And in April, if you're wondering what's coming up for Seeing Ink Spots, the Sweet Citrus Bundle. So lots of fun stuff is in the works and coming up stamp-wise. Okay, the business is done. Okay, so let's see. Tara is watching, awesome. Deb likes the card, she thought it was cool. And then Karen says, hoping that the groundhog will give us some good news. It's incredibly cold in Calgary, Canada. Whew, yes, we were talking about him the other day, the groundhog. So, all right, this is this month's kit, Key to My Heart. It really is beautiful. I mentioned I'm adding flowers to it. Having worked in the floral business and event design for, over 25 years working with Bloomsters in San Jose, we have to have flowers for Valentine's Day. It just wouldn't be the same. So I am adding flowers to this beautiful kit, and let's begin. So let's start out simple. We usually start fairly simple. And let's dive into our kit and see what we're going to use for our first card. So our first card, grab yourself, this is from the kit, one of these large vellum cardstock circles, one of the locks, and this is the square lock with the Calypso coral edge, and one of the banners here, okay? So that's what we're going to use from the kit. Also grab yourself some white paper because we're going to stamp flowers on the white paper, okay? We're going to stamp flowers, although for this card, we're actually going to stamp the one of the images from the set here. We're going to stamp this cutie pie little heart lock stamp. So I have multiple stamps on blocks here, but add your image to your block, and we're gonna stamp that in Fresh Freesia. Now you have the little stamp cube that came in the kit, but I like to save those for a rainy day, I guess, or if I'm traveling or something. And so I save those spots and I use my full-size pad. So I'm using my full-size Fresh Freesia pad, and we're just going to stamp that right in the corner of our basic white paper because we're going to cut that out. Okay, well, while you have your pad out, let's also stamp our greeting here. Now, the nice thing about these little labels that came in the pad, I mean, in the kit rather, you know, I'll always say, oh, if it's a white label and you're stamping on white, put a piece of coordinating paper underneath so you can see where you're stamping. They put an edge on it for us. Wasn't that nice of them? And so I'm gonna stamp the one that says, to my Valentine. Okay. I really wish that one time they would put this and have like a, to my Galentine. Anyhow, I think that would be fun. I'm gonna stamp this way over to the left side here. Okay. So there you have that. And that is the stamping we're gonna do with the kit. Now let's do just a little bit of stamping. Keep your fresh freesia out. And I'm going to stamp a small image. This is a little kind of tulip image from the True Beauty stamp set. So if you're using different flowers than I am, just find a smaller one about the size of a nickel. Smaller flower, and I'm going to bring in a couple ink pads here. I'm going to bring in Calypso Coral, and I'm also going to bring in a little bit of polished pink, okay? Also, I'm going to grab some blending brushes here. And I'm going to be using blending brushes today. We had a deep dive in the Backstage Pass earlier in January where we worked with these distinctive style images and how to get the best result to really show off these highs and lows and the shadows and contours in the distinctive stamps. And what we discovered was that it's best when we use a little bit of blending action, meaning I'm going to ink up my image, and this one's not going to show it off as much. You'll see it in some of the larger images later in the class here today. But I'm going to tap and blot the ink off with my blending brush. Okay? That's just going to make all the little dots and things show up much more crisp when we actually stamp. Next, I'm going to take my polished pink and I'm going to add just some like polished pink right to the tips of the little tulip here. Give a little huff on that and stamp that. And I want to actually make 3 of these. So we'll repeat that action here. A little Calypso Coral, blot it. And then with my polished pink, I'm going to add some to the tip. And maybe I'll do it just a little bit different this time. And maybe I'll do a little more. Give a huff. Okay, pretty. You guys, this is so pretty. I know it's a tiny little image, but hopefully you can see the blending of that pink and the Calypso. It kind of creates its own new color, okay? Lynn, so happy you're here from New Jersey. Super awesome. So I need 1 more of those, okay? So a little bit more Calypso Coral. Let's pat it with the blending brush. So how many of you, I know some of you that are here now actually did watch that True Beauty class, and we decided that it was really awesome to see the difference between the just inking up and stamping and inking up and using the blending brush to blot some of that ink. So hopefully you were with me on that class. If not, go back and watch it. It really, really was a great class. Now, the great thing about the Organic Beauty stamp set, well, True Beauty stamp set, the great thing about it is that it has these awesome dies that match all these open images. So I'm going to take this little die, and there's actually 2 of those, and I'm going to cut those out, but I've already done those ahead of time, so you don't have to sit here and watch me doing some die cutting. So Deb says, first time watching. Awesome. Glad you're here. All right, so these are already cut. I have those ready for us. So you don't have to sit there and watch me do all that. But I am going to fussy cut this little heart lock. So when I fussy cut, I like to just kind of come through and do a quick, what I call a rough cut. Okay? So I'm going to get my ink pads out of the way. Now I have my papers a little bit more controllable. And so I'm just going to come up alongside this and just give this a pretty quick cut. And I'm going to cut the whole thing out. And then I'm going to even cut this little center section out, but I'm going to show you how simple it's going to be. Okay. And it was this first little cut that I did that kind of opened up, and I went, oh, that's so cool. I'm going to do that with all of them. And that is, you know, when you have a lock, it actually swings open, right? It pops out and swings open. And so that's what I did with this, is I kind of came through and I just undid that. And now that opens this up, and we can now kind of put the keys, and we can intertwine the keys and the locks and things. So I've done that a lot today. So you'll see me do that a bunch. It's just cut right in there and come right across. So that was so that I could get in. But then I went, oh, you know, brilliant idea here. Now we're going to just kind of make things look super cute. So now I'm just going to kind of come around here, keep turning that paper. I want to come in just a little closer there. Keep turning that paper. It gets a little bit to where you don't have a whole lot to hold on to, but just trust yourself and come around that corner. Okay, and then one last little, there we go. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. I clipped it across that you can't really tell I did, but now it kind of, I'm like, oh, I like that, because it just opened up the possibilities. I thought it was really kind of, you know, it happened accidental, but it made a whole lot of sense. Okay, so these are the pieces we're going to be using. Let me get them up here on the card. But we have one more piece to add to this stash of stuff. And what I want you to do is, this is one of the pieces from the kit. I didn't use it this way. You can see I've kind of done some other things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Fresh Freesia ink pad and my Fresh Freesia brush here, or it's just a purple brush. And I'm just gonna actually add some color to this piece. And I'm gonna do it random, and I'm not gonna do it like perfect. So I did a little of that, and I'm also going to do a little bit of Gorgeous Grape. Now I've just re-inked this Gorgeous Grape, so it should be pretty juicy. Okay. So, and sometimes when it's pretty juicy, I like to offload that ink, but I'm just going to come in here and fill in some of this area, kind of blend it up. I'm just making my own custom little piece of paper here. Okay. Nothing too extravagant. Okay. Knock some of that off. Come in here, just coming around, having some fun. And I'm going to do one last color, and that color is going to be white. Okay, and I don't actually have a white brush handy, but I do have an old sponge. Remember these? I still have loads of these. And I'm just going to kind of pounce some color, some white on top of the color here. Okay. Just kind of creating a unique piece of paper. And there you have it. That's all I'm going to do. And you're like, what are you going to do with that? Well, what I'm going to do with this is, from the Organic Beauty dies, there are a couple dies in there that are what I call, they aren't open images. Like, this is an open image to cut out a stamped image, right? But then you have these fun, what I call them, I don't know what the official name is, but I call them the detail dies that give us some fun, unique looks. Good morning, Terry. So happy to have you here. So I'm actually going to cut this big, kind of, it's a berry blossom type thing. I'm going to cut this out. So I don't have that ready, as you can see, because I wanted to make my own paper. But I'm going to clear out some of these little hanging on pieces. And I'm just going to kind of set this on my custom piece of paper and just decide, okay, well, what do I want to show? And what will be fun is we're not really sure what it's going to be when we're, you know, kind of looking at, you know, our paper here, but it's going to give us some highs and some lows. And sometimes when you try and do it after it's die cut, it starts to bend and you flip things and it's just a little bit trickier. So that's why I do it. My process is this way: design the paper, then die cut. Okay. So decorate, then die cut. So let me run this through the machine here real quick. And this will be the last piece that we need for this card. So here it comes. And we'll just kind of poke this out. And there you have it. It just kind of looks like a purple piece, but in person it is a little bit more interesting than if it were just, well, let me just bring in a piece of purple cardstock here. So here's the fresh freesia, the way it started, and here it is once I kind of sponged it, okay? So there you have that. You just kind of get rid of these, get them out of the way. Got 4 open pads here. Haha, scary. Okay, now I am fully lined up with everything that I need for my card here. So first things first, I'm gonna layer on this awesome vellum circle. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, I like to put vellum on with some sort of a tape, whether it's your Stamp and Seal, Seal Plus, Snail if you have some old, or I came across these at a garage sale, a whole box of them were $67 for $15. Let me tell you, I bought them. So I'm gonna add just a little bit of that snail to hold my vellum circle down, okay? And now I know that I'm gonna be having elements on here and it will cover up that adhesive that is peeking through. The reason I don't use the glue on the vellum is it always seems to curl. Even if you do just a little bit amount, it seems to curl. So that's why I hold back on the vellum. On the liquid glue on the vellum. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to start my anchor elements. I like to kind of give myself anchor elements in my cards. So my anchor element is going to be, and I'm going to kind of intertwine the lock here around the greeting here, the To My Valentine, okay? And that's going to kind of sit right there. So we can get this ready with some dimensionals. So last night as I was, I had packed up my little cart here. I have a cart that sits beside me, and I packed it all up to come out of my stamp room into the kitchen, and the whole thing tipped over. So I hope the pieces are all in the right order, if you know what I mean. So my dimensionals were all flipped backwards. So, and I'm gonna add a dimensional here to the lock as well, okay? So we can peel these and we'll stick them on. Okay, so, and they're gonna kind of, the To My Valentine's gonna go right across the top portion. Okay, I'm gonna make sure that it's straight. And now I can kind of, you know, swing this back and forth. I'm gonna come right about there and tuck that on. Great. Kathleen, good to have you watching today. Now, moving right along, typically when I'm sticking these sorts of things in, if this gets in the way, I often will chop that off, but I'm just gonna kind of reach up and in here, and yep, it's hitting a dimensional right there. So I'm just gonna give that a trim, and this piece is going to tuck right up inside there, like that. And then this lock here, I'm gonna go ahead and put a mini dimensional. Seriously, everything's backwards. Okay, get the minis in the front here. Okay, mini dimensional. And I'm gonna put that right there on my card. I know it's a little weird. You're like, why are you putting it there and not on the actual heart locket or lock? And now I'm gonna open up this lock and swing around and add this one. I want it to be right on top there. And it's going to sit right about there, just like that, okay? So now that I know that this is in a good place, I'm gonna kind of pull this out for right now, and I'm gonna put a dimensional there. I like adding things with dimensionals. I think it's easier than glue. I make less of a mess. I'm gonna put another one there and hope that it doesn't show. Okay, tuck this back under and inside. Get that in there. Needs to go a little further in. Okay, a little surgery here. That dimensional sticking too soon. Okay, get in there. All right, there we go. So there's that piece. And now my flowers, I'm gonna add some kind of right into here. We'll kind of tuck one in there, one up here. Where did my third one go? There it is. And then this one, just ever so slightly, is going to kind of peek right out of that corner there. So let's add these with dimensionals, because that will be the easiest way to do it. Okay, there's one and two. Tuck this one in here. Kind of like to group things. And then this last one, get back here. We'll put right there down in that corner. And it's like it could peek out this corner. It could peek out this one, but I think I like it over here. Just adding a little bit more of that stamped right image right in there. We're almost done. We have a couple more things I want to add to this. 3 more things, and I bet you can guess what they are. Twine. It's part of the kit, so we're going to do it. Wink of Stella. She's always invited to the party. And I'm pulling out some gems from the Holiday Mini catalog that I'm using up. These are the adhesive-backed sequins and gems, and I'm using this kind of purpley pink tone down here. These are just perfect for this kit, this color right in here. So I'm going to use some of these in the spirit of using things up, right? And so I'm going to add some gems, just like one right here. Whoops, hello. Whoops. I didn't pull I left the little glue dot behind. Did you ever do that? There's one and a second. And I'm going to do a couple more up in here. I'm really loading it on. I'm going to kind of tuck one under a little bit. Hey, let go. I want to, just kind of buddy them up. And then I'm going to do another one down in here. Okay. So we have some gems. There's the gems and a little bit of twine. And now what I want to do is kind of put my twine right where these two like interlock. Okay, so that's going to be kind of the focus of everything. So I'm tying just a plain old bow here. I'm going to shape that just the way you like it. Okay, kind of hunker down on those sides. I like to grab the 2 tails and then trim them together at the same time. That way you know they're even. In the kit, we got some little mini glue dots here. There they are, or this might be from another kit, but there are mini glue dots in there. So I'm going to just pick one of those up, and again, right on that intersecting spot where those locks connect, that's going to be my anchor spot for this little bow. Cuteness. Okay. And I like to kind of just give this, you can use it at the end of your take your pick tool. This one was just kind of handy. Okay. And last, a little bit of Wink of Stella on the flowers where I did some stamping. And of course I want to give this some sparkle as well. Okay, and on our stamped locket, very cute. And then you can even give it a bit of a flick. All right, there you have it. You might want to be a little careful about how much you're flicking on that vellum, because it will curl the vellum just a little bit. Thank you, Diana. She says, very pretty. Okay, so there it is. We have one and done. I forgot to even fold the card from the very beginning. So there you have it with just a little bit of a floral accent. Okay, so I now have 2 Valentine cards ready to go. Let's move right along for number 2, our second design. So our second design, we're going to go a little bit bigger. Okay, we always kind of start simple. Well, now we're going to kind of you know, we've got things moving. Now we're going to really hit the pedal to the metal and start making some pretty stuff. That's pretty, but now we're going to get a little bit more involved. Okay, so I'm using one of these keyhole peek through cards, and so let's give that a score since we forgot to do that last time. Let's get our card scored, give it a nice burnish, and I'm going to remove this piece. I've seen some cute things with this. You know, a lot of people have turned this into a vase and a gumball machine, but I'm not going there today. This is also a great piece. This would make a nice card front, by the way, I think. So anyway, look at that. That's pretty cool. Now to keep things simple, here's what we're going to use so far from the kit. We're going to use the heart locket that has the Calypso edge, a key, and then we're going to talk about this piece in a minute. Let's start with the key here because that's the simplest. So I'm just going to poke that little hole out and grab your mini dimensionals, and let's put one right there, okay? And now I'm going to cut, let me see, let me grab this dimensional sheet here. I am going to just kind of come up here and cut a long, narrow little strip like that so that I can come up the key, because I want my key to have some dimension on it. I don't want to make it flat. So we have that, and it looks like I need just one more skinny little piece. We'll do some up at the top, okay? So we'll take this little skinny piece and just give yourself some dimensionals, okay? And this is going to go on, okay, in the little keyhole here. I mean, this is brilliant. I am not going to change this design at all. Let's keep it the way it is. Okay, so there's the start. Now let's put this one on and we'll kind of keep going from there. So what I want to do with this one is I'm going to bring this and it's going to sit in front of the key. And then that way when the card is opened, they'll open it up and see the key. So I'm kind of doing a, you know, kind of a reveal. And so to put this on and to make sure that your dimensionals don't show when you put the heart locket on, this one is going to go just like this. So I'm going to add my dimensionals like that. Okay, let's see, let me go back. I must say that I am loving the colors. Okay, well, so I'm so glad you said that, Karen, because one of my favorite color palettes, floral-wise, is what we used to call sherbet colors, and that is your rainbow sherbet colors. And so it would be the lavenders, the coral, and a little bit of green. I'm going to bring some green here in just a minute. And it was great. They're pretty colors for spring and all that good stuff. And I love the colors too. So lavender, all that good stuff. Now I've noticed I've put my key too low. So I'm just gonna take the spatula end, this flat end of my take your pick tool to lift this up. And it hasn't totally set, thank goodness. Let go. Okay, perfect. And I'm going to just move this up just a little bit higher. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball. It's going to come up just a skosh higher than where I was. There, that's better. Okay. And now I can move this one up just a little bit as well. Or maybe I've gone too high. Come down just a little bit. There we go. That's where it was. Okay, so these colors, I love them in the spring. I also, same colors, but it's interesting what happens to the colors in the fall. They're slightly different, but so each season lends to, you know, to the beauty of color, I think. So, okay, so here's the start of where we're going. Now, this piece here, I really like kind of where they were going with this, to have the little kind of layer look behind it, but it doesn't look right to me. It looks like a hot dog bun with a really long hot dog, you know, I don't know. So I'm cutting them off. So I'm just going to come in here and snip these right. I'm just kind of following that line and just taking that off, okay? I don't know, did this bother anybody else that the pink was weird? Anyhow, it was just me and my weird OCD-ness. Okay, so I'm just snipping that right out. There you have it. And I'm gonna use the label like that. Let's stamp this, get it ready. I'm going to use the stamp that says, love is key. I don't know if you can see that one. So love is key. And I'm gonna stamp this in Calypso Coral, okay? So what I'm doing is bringing in, so I'm repeating this Calypso Coral that's going around the lock here. Okay, so love is key. Now this one, I'm gonna just stamp this one straight in the center. I'm not gonna go off to either side, but there you go, there's that. Whew, and that's gonna add into our card. Now we're gonna need a few other elements to this card. And this is where we're gonna start to really do some floral stamping. So bring your white paper back in, okay? And we're going to stamp some roses from the True Beauty set here. So this one, let's see. So if you're looking for something similar in size, this, you know, here's my scissors, you can kind of see. So you're looking for a flower that's about the size of one of the handles of your scissor. Okay, so I'm using that image there. I'm also gonna use the leaves, okay? So we're gonna do some stamping, and we're gonna do the same sort of stamping we did earlier, and that is to use the blending brushes. So the first thing I'm gonna do is clean my stamp. I wasn't expecting it to be white. Okay, first thing we're gonna do, give this a quick clean. Okay. Hello, Carolyn. All right, now that that's clean, bring in Fresh Freesia. That's gonna be the first color we're gonna ink up in. So ink up in Fresh Freesia, put your stamp on its back, and so this is where we're really gonna start to see the distinctive stamps come to life because we're tapping some of this ink off, okay? So I've just tapped some of that ink off, and now I'm going to bring in some Calypso Coral, okay? Add that to my brush, and I'm just gonna tap some of that in a few random places. Give a little huff, and let's see what we have. Oh, that's pretty. It's always kind of a, what's it gonna be? But there we have our first flower. So let's do it again. You may want to clean your stamp first because you've got a little bit of that Calypso Coral there, and you don't want that going into your Fresh Freesia. So Fresh Freesia. Okay. Blot some of it off. This is the key to making these distinctive stamps really come to life, is that blotting. And we'll do a little bit, maybe this time we'll kind of change where we've put it. Okay. And you're gonna need 2 flowers. Pretty, super pretty, okay? So a couple flowers. Then let's do some leaf action. We need some foliage for this. So my colors for my foliage will be Soft Seafoam and Mint Macaron. So here goes the seafoam. And the image itself, right here, good, it's clean. So there's my Soft Seafoam, and I don't know if you can see, but it's pretty juicy on there, okay? And because of that juiciness, that's where it's not going to, you're not going to get all those cool details. Suzanne, I'm using the True Beauty distinctive stamp set. So there went some, I kind of cleaned up those little ink bubbles. Now I'm taking some mint, and I'm just going to tap a little mint into this just to give it our own custom color. And I want 3 sets of these leaves, okay? So, and it looks like my image was dirty, but I kind of like it. It's pretty. It's got some brown in it. So I'm gonna clean my stamp. Ha-ha. Okay. That's my first layer of ink, and that was Soft Seafoam. Tap it. Okay. Now I'm gonna load up some Mint Macaron. and add some mint into these leaves. We're gonna need 3. There's my second set. Oh, goodness gracious, that's so pretty, you guys. Can you see where you've got those ink colors blending together? And then we're also getting some of the detail of the image as well. So try it. Okay, here we go. One more time. Here goes soft seafoam. Gonna tap. That's the key right there, is tapping. And I'm gonna add just a little bit more. This time I'm gonna add it in different places than I did earlier. Okay, we'll see if it makes a difference. And there you have it. Yes, it did make a difference. I've got more seafoam in here and more mint over here on the sides, just like I did. So you will need to die cut these images. This was from our first card, okay? But these are the images you're going to need to die cut. And the cool thing is the organic dies have just the right dies in here to die cut that. And I've done these ahead of time, just so you don't have to sit here and watch me, you know, do a whole bunch of die cutting. That would not be fun. So I've done that ahead. Now let's assemble the card here so that I have my pieces. Let me grab all my flowers. Okay, so I have my 2 flowers and I have my 3 sets of leaves here. Okay, the ones I stamped today I think are prettier than these. I stamped these yesterday. Yeah, I think this color combo's a little prettier, but there you go. Those are the leaves I have ready. And we're gonna do one more thing. We're gonna add one more cool thing to this card, and I wanna share with you the beautiful fine shimmer paper. This paper is it comes 12 by 12. It's in the it's in the spring, the spring mini catalog, so the January to April. And you get 3 colors. You get 2 12 by 12 sheets of each color. Soft succulent, super pretty. I'm not gonna use that color today, but you can see how pretty it is. Fresh freesia, gonna use that one right now. And gold. Oh, this is so pretty. Now, when I saw it at on stage, and even when I saw it in the catalog, I was not expecting it to be cardstock weight. I was thinking it was going to be like our other fine shimmers and be more of a vellum weight. But no, this stuff is gorgeous. So it will fold up and make all kinds of beautiful things. So I highly recommend the fine shimmer paper. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, I mentioned earlier that I like it when the sets of dies, when they give us some pretty detailed type pieces, okay? So I'm going to cut this one twice using this fine shimmer paper, okay? So I have 2 of those cut ahead of time. And here you can see there's one, and here's my second one. All right, so I'm going to use those for this card. Now we have all of our elements, except, you know, we got to bring in the twine, and we got to bring in our buddy here, Wink of Stella. So let's actually start to put this together. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my flowers. And so I'm going to have one flower that kind of works itself up in here. And then another one is going to, and I want to make sure it's not facing the same direction, but another one that's going to kind of work down here on the opposite side. So I've got a higher and a lower, so I can stick those on. Okay, and I had a dimensional on that one, so I need to add one here. I could feel it when it was sitting there under my finger. So I'm using a full size on these. Okay. And again, I'm kind of overlapping the keyhole, and I'm overlapping the flower a little bit, making sure that they're not on the same angle, but I kind of don't like that angle. Okay, that would be the same direction, so let me turn this. Okay, there we go. All right. Now, some people are thinking, well, why aren't you using 3 flowers on this? And because usually I would use more than 2, but you know, the lock actually acts as one of these, you know, as a 3rd image scale wise. And then that's what I did. Anyhow, okay, for leaves, let's see here. So I'm going to add my leaves, And we'll add one. And for these, you know what, you guys, I really kind of like using the minis for this leaf right here, right there in the middle, because then I can kind of glue it and I can kind of bend them and give them a little bit of shape. Jolinda, my connection blips in and out, mostly good, but not sure if it's here or an issue for anyone else. I don't know. So I'm going to have to hear from you guys if anybody else is having a connection issue. We don't have any wacky weather, so things should be okay here. Okay, another leaf. We'll do another leaf kind of over here on this one. So Karen says no issues for her. Okay, so there's my other leaf. Now for this third set of leaves, I'm actually going to separate these. Okay, I'm just going to come right down the middle like that and just kind of shape that a little bit and shape this one. You just never know how it's going to end up sitting in the card. So I've just kind of separated these so I can get a different look than the same that I've got going. Okay, so I have this wackadoo piece. I had some full sheets of dimensional, you know, the foam sheet adhesives, these big single pieces. So I had this big piece. We're going to use it up because it's just the right size. And I'm going to set this one down here, kind of off to the side. Okay. I like asymmetry. And my pretty little added leaves here. So I'm going to put these on with a little bit of glue. So I've got my usual, got a corsage pin here to unstick, because here in Idaho, the air is drier and glue just, no matter what, even with the lid on, I have to undo it. Okay, so I've added a little glue to my berries. And so I'm gonna add these right in here. Okay, got a spray of them there. And we'll do a spray of them kind of coming over right there. And then we'll put those last two flowers on. Hello, Denise. Are you stamping today? Okay, so there's that. And then these two leaves, I'm gonna work them right in there. Let's see, we'll take this, this is the bigger of the two. I'm gonna take that one, kind of bring this down. So I'm just kind of coming and I'm engaging with the label. I just think when things kind of come together, it makes things a little bit more interesting than if the tag were just kind of hanging out on the bottom of the card all by itself. I like things to touch actually. And then this one I'm going to tuck in there like that. Okay, so it's just giving it a little bit of a different shape. Kathleen, good to have you here. All right, last, let's do some of the twine. So same thing, just tie a bow. This is the twine from the kit. This is really fine twine. And it's kind of, it's got a little shimmer to it. It's pretty. It's kind of it says it's Calypso Coral, but it has a nice tangerine color to it. Okay. I'm going to start over. It had a little bit of a twist in it. Can't have that. There we go. That's better. And you can make this bow as big or as small as you want. I'm going to kind of go for a medium size. Well, it's small for me. I usually like them bigger. But I'm just kind of playing with it right now because it's twisting and I want it to lay right. Okay, and that's going to go on the key right up there. Okay, so with your take your pick tool, go ahead and grab a little glue dot right there on the key. And let me actually separate so I don't have an entire thing of twine stuck to my card here. And we'll peel that cover. And add our little bow right here like so. Hello, get on the glue dot. So I'm putting the knot on the glue dot. Okay, there you have it. And when you actually put it in the envelope, go ahead and have, the bow out, but then when they open the card, the twine will be on the inside, if you know what I mean. And my tails are a little long and uneven. So we'll clean that up just a little bit here. There we go. And you can, put more stamped on the inside if you want, or just leave it blank so that you have room to add your greeting. But there you have it. I thought it was kind of fun to add that heart lock over the key and then have a little bit more of a surprise when you get to the inside. Now, you can definitely add a little wink to your flowers here. I didn't add any gems to this, but you totally could, why not? And we'll give it a flick. And I like to flick it in the areas of the cardstock where it's a little bit more blank, because that's where it's really going to show, right? And there you have it. There is our second card. So I had one right next to me that I was kind of playing off of so that I could see what I was doing. But I think it's pretty. Go ahead and, make it a way over the top Valentine. And I don't care. I know it's a very feminine card, but hello, you can still give it to your spouse. It's okay. Noah would be okay with flowers. She loves the roses with it, Kathleen says. I agree. I just, I kind of felt that the locks on their own, they were nice, but I wanted to soften them. I wanted to kind of give a more romantic look to things. So that's why I said pull out any flower stamp set. Okay, there's our second card. We still have 3 more to go here. And so for this next card, we're going to pull a stack of items here. Let's see. First, let's grab one of these card bases. I really like this, that we've kind of got a watercolor wash, and then we have this cool gold background. I think it's a cool card base. Okay, so we'll give that a burnish that score line in there. And let's see what we're going to use. We're going to use a bunch of stuff here. So I have pre-cut myself a bunch of circles and squares. And, it doesn't really matter what you use, but I thought it would be fun to kind of add a little bit with all this prettiness that we have going on. We're going to add a little geometry in here. So I'm going to pair, let's see, what am I going to do here? Let's take, first off, let's take this circle here and we'll add this square on top. So I'm just kind of playing with creating a cool background. So we're going to take that one, okay? And then with this square, I'm just kind of putting a white with a pink, and this is petal pink, by the way, and a circle with a square. So that way I've got, each one has a circle and a square. Each one has some white and some pink, okay? So these are just going to kind of layer and add to my card base here, like so. So we're just kind of creating something a little bit more unusual than what we've been doing. So let's kind of make these a little bit more interesting and grab the heart stamp from your kit. And so we're just gonna give a little pattern, just a slight little pattern to these, and a block. You know me, I double up my blocks, so there you go. I'll pull this one off so you can see through. So there's that heart image. And I'm going to use Petal Pink ink. Whoops. So this is my Petal Pink ink pad. And I'm going to, and I have not stamped this image before. So I'm going to, I have jeans on. So I'm just kind of roughing up my image on my pants. Okay. I was just kind of buffing it to get any little, sometimes they've got a packaging, sizing, or whatever. They've got a little coating on them. So I always, before I go straight to stamping, I stamp them a few times just to really get them used to taking ink. I stamp on scratch paper. Now I'm going to take these, and I've stamped off. And I'm just going to give just a little bit of background on these. I want them very subtle, okay? I do not want them to be like in your face, okay? So I'm stamping off, and add those hearts to your paper. Very subtle on the petal pink. One more time. And there go the dogs to go bark at somebody that's walking along in the back. Okay, now we're gonna glue these together. So I am gonna glue. Okay. And we'll add that. And I'm keeping the hearts, I keep wanting to call them stars. I'm gonna put them upright. Okay. So Deb says, I love your coloring of stamps. So are you talking about the flowers and things from the last card, I think? Brian's out there. We have 3 dogs, and one of them is Brian, and he's out there howling. I don't think you can hear him. I hope you can't hear him. He's so funny. He's kind of, he's a very sweet dog. Do you guys have dogs or cats? Deb says yes, especially the flowers. Okay, great. All right, so now let's add these with some dimensionals. Give them a little bit of lift in life. So I'm just gonna throw one on the back of each. Kathleen, you have both. And do they like each other? I mean, my dogs haven't been around too many cats, but they've been, I know it's kind of freaked them out when they have been. Okay, so I'm gonna put this middle one on first, and I'm gonna kind of come over just a little bit. You just got a puppy 2 weeks ago. What kind of puppy? How fun. I love puppies. Grand dogs, you babysit twice a month. Nice. I have a couple grand dogs too. I much prefer to babysit the real kids though, which I did the other day. It was nice. Go over and just snuggle with Archer. Read books with Finn. Okay, so there's my background for this card. Now you can see I've pulled out a few more elements here. I have the gold lock, heart lock, and I have the the petal pink lock. Where did that come from? Oh, so Kathleen says they tolerate each other, and you just adopted your dog in October. Wow. Tara, Australian Shepherd, Poodle Lab, and Australian Catalog. Lots of energy. Yes. I'll bet you're having fun. Puppies are fun. Okay, so I have the same berries that we used last time in Fresh Freesia. I cut those from the gold shimmer paper. We're gonna put that on this card. We're gonna use one of the keys, and we're going to use one of the angular labels here, okay? And now I showed you that we're having a petal pink lock. Now, where did that come from? But let me go back to Karen's message here. She may pull out the old abstract impressions. Yes, that would be a good one. Or the artistically inked. Artistically inked, that rose is a little bigger, but that's okay. That's the beauty of, you know, finding and mixing and matching and coming up with your own look, right? So, I don't know about you guys, but this Crazy Mango Melody is fun. But in this color palette, it was a little bit of odd man out for me. And my eye kept going to it. And so I wanted to tame it down. And so here's how we're going to tame down these crazy Mango Melody ink, or not ink, the locks. Grab your white ink pad and a sponge. Okay? And just knock that color down. Okay, just remember the old sponging the edges that we did to everything back in the day? And yeah, you're gonna get your finger dirty. But I just want you to see, let me pull out another one here, the difference between the two, okay? So this one I've gone around a couple times with that, with my sponger here. And it has totally turned this into petal pink, rather than the crazy Mango Melody. And like I say, Mango Melody has its place. It just seemed a little garish in this collection for me. Just my 2 cents, and it's not worth much, but there you go. So that's what I have done to tame down that color of the lock. Okay, and I've done it a couple times here. You're gonna see. Okay, so now with the angled piece here, and it looks like I got ink on mine. Shoot, Queen. We are going to stamp that with a Versamark and an embossing buddy. So just take your embossing buddy and your Versamark pad, okay, and we're gonna stamp Love is Key. Okay, I need to clean this though because I know it's had color on it. And while my Versamark pad isn't great, I really don't want Calypso Coral rolling through it. Okay, I just re-inked my Versamark pad yesterday. Oh, made all the difference in the world. And we're gonna stamp that right in the center. Easy peasy. Okay, and you're like, what did you do? There's not much there right now. Diana says, I agree the mango was too much. Okay, yes, so just knock it down with a little bit of your white ink. Okay, now I am bringing in some gold embossing powder here. And let me grab my reverse tweezer here. This is from the embossing add-ons from the past catalog. I think these still might be available. I can't remember. I can't keep track of everything. Okay, so let me get right in there. Kind of give that a good flick. And I'm just going to, I will clean all this up later on. But do grab your reverse tweezer again. Hold on to that. And let's give it a heat. We'll melt that powder. Oh, it's taken a long time. Come on. There we go. And I have another one done here. Let me see where I put it. That doesn't have, well, I lost it. But I have one that doesn't have ink on it. I had one done. It was just here. Anybody see where it went? Here it is. Have one done ahead. Yeah, I must have gotten ink on the back. So it's an okay one if I have to use it, but I'm going to use this one. But so bring out your gold embossing powder. It's the perfect addition to add with these, with these elements here. Okay. Another perfect addition to add, pull out your Simply Elegant trim. So if you've had this left over from the holiday season, the silver and the gold, this is in the annual catalog. It's Simply Elegant, and that's the name. Suzanne says, are you buying Queen Bee? Every time I see the word queen, it reminds me of you. I'm not getting it, but I bet you'd use the word queen a lot. I was chatting with Daisha Smith last night, and, I have bought everything. I'm not buying, so the answer is no, I'm not buying Queen Bee. I love it. But it just didn't quite work into the schedule with, what classes I'm offering. So, but I do like it. I think it's really pretty. And when I see that Queen Bee, I think of my friend Darnell Campbell. And that's what she used to call my mom, the Queen Bee. Anyhow, so I think of her. So this Simply Elegant trim, I'm just trying to get a good bow in there and trying to tame it down. It's a little crazy right now, but give yourself a good bow. Okay. Maybe you can get it to calm down. Look at this. It's kind of like my hair in the morning. It's got a mind of its own. Okay. So we've got a nice bow to anchor some elements in right there. Okay. So here we're going to add some dimensionals to things here. So first, let's add them to our locks. And what I want to do this time is you can see we're going to bring 2 locks together. Because to me, that's what, is lock 'em. That's kind of the fun. Of course, I pulled the backs off a little too soon. Also, grab your dimensionals for your label here for your Love is Key. And we'll do the same thing here. We're going to do a mini, and hopefully we won't need any on the top because it's going to be kind of attached to the locks. We're going to put the key and the two locks together. All right, so we're going to have something kind of like this. So we've got this is going to go kind of right up at the top, and I'm going to double stack my dimensional on the key end of my label here, okay? Okay, come here. Silly dimensional didn't come with it. Okay, and before I put that down, I'm actually going to kind of hold my Simply Elegant bow here in place, and I'm going to kind of try and catch it with the dimensionals like that. And at the same time, I kind of try and, use the adhesive of the dimensionals to kind of hold things in place. Oh, it helps if I pull the backing off. I'm like, why isn't it sticking? Ha ha. There we go. There's that. Okay. Now, if these kind of seem a little unruly, sometimes you can kind of glue them into place and get them to go where you want them to go. Ah, there we go. I just kind of used the dimensional on that one. Same thing here. Kind of pull that, get that where you want it. Now we're going to add our locks in. And I'm going to do kind of one in here. And I think what I want to do is just what we did with that first one and do this little bit of snipping action right across there so that you can actually lock them together. Okay, so cute. But I want the purple one, I want this one to be on top. So I kind of have to, there we go. Okay, yeah, the gold one is on top. And they're going to kind of swing right in there, like so. And then our key is going to kind of connect right in there, just like that. So we'll take this dimensional off and a little bit of glue, just a teeny bit. Got a little bit of a clog on the top. And, okay, there's that. Okay, so I'm almost there for this one. Now I have these gold sprigs to kind of really dress it up. Okay, so one's gonna kind of come in here, and I'm gonna trim this one, and one will come right up in there, like so. Okay, so all we need to do is add a little glue to that. Tuck this in here. Okay, and I like to make sure that, because I put a little glue on the end of that, but I like to make sure that it actually makes contact with something in there. So that's kind of where I'll reach in with whoops, kind of turned it. I'll reach in. I actually like to use my bone folder because that, really gives you a nice leverage, just to make sure that it's actually sticking to something. You know what I mean? Jelly bean. Now this one could come this way, or it could come this way. It just really depends on what, how your composition's coming together. Could come out here, could come into here. But I'm gonna go up at the top. But play with things, move them around. This gold branch, Suzanne, is, I die cut it with the Organic Beauty dies that match the True Beauty stamp set. So that's the bundle I'm working with today. I'll bring it out one more time here. So here is the stamp set, and then there are dies. This is a few of the dies, not all of them. It's the one I'm using today. But I guess the big fun piece in this is this big, huge diagonal background die. So that may help you remember what it is if you saw that. Okay, so last but not least on here, we gotta give it some shimmer and shine, right? Stick that one on. It's a little lopsided because there's a little lump of the knot right in there. But there you have it. Another pretty one. Go ahead and combine the two locks. I mean, that just makes sense for Valentine's, right? So that was number 3. Number 4, we're going to switch gears and do a totally purple card this time. So we're going to need a bunch of pieces. Let's grab one of the purple card bases. Okay, I've scored that and folded it in half. Give it a good burnish. I've done that ahead of time. Okay, now we're going to use one of these pieces as kind of our background paper that we're going to use. I'm going to cut this up and we are going to do some embossing on it first. This time, instead of embossing with gold, ooh, that could be pretty too. No, we're going to emboss with white, like the plan. You know, every now and again, it's like, oh, that could be cool too. Okay, these are going to get embossed with white. So I've used my embossing buddy. And let's see, I'm going to emboss the big rose that we've been using. We used that earlier, but let's give it a clean. And you can use Versamark, or you could use your Whisper White ink. We have both of them out today. I'm just going to use Versamark. So Versamark and white works, or Versamark and, so there's one rose. And here comes my second rose. Okay. And I will dunk it in white and then heat emboss that. And my white has been sitting in this Glad thing. This thing's probably, I don't know, 10 years old. Okay. I keep adding more white embossing powder to it, but you get the idea. Okay. And I know people use spoons and they're all professional, but there you have it. Okay. So there's the powder. Now we'll give that a good heat set. Let me get the lid on this. I have a tendency to, even though you think you're not going to do it, but the heat tool blows right into the cup, the bucket where your powder is, and you're like, oh man, I just totally got embossing powder all over the place. Okay, I like to bring in a plate underneath things because it warps your paper, your grid paper. And I don't want any warping. Take your reverse tweezer, and this time I'm just going to use it as a pokey tool to hold it down. There it goes. Okay, I'm going to wait for that to dry before we do this next step. And the next step, we are going to bring in fresh freesia. Okay, I'll get rid of my gnarly base plate there. And I'm bringing in Gorgeous Grape, okay? So there's Gorgeous Grape, fresh freesia, ink pads, and I should probably have a light brush and a dark brush, but I don't. For today, it'll be okay. So I'm going to start with a little fresh freesia here. And we're just going to come in here and do some embossed resist. Okay. And now with a little bit of the Gorgeous Grape, I'm going to do just a little bit more on the inside. Okay. Then with a rag or, a paper towel or a napkin, come in there and buff the embossing powder where you've, smooth your melted embossing powder, I should say. So it leaves a little bit of a purple haze on there, but that's okay. Look how pretty that is. So let's do that with the other one. And, you can do as much or as little as you want. I kind of like that this one's a little different. Maybe I'm going to swing some of the dark over here on this side. Not make them exactly the same. Come in, give that a little buff. Okay, there you have it. Now you would take these and die cut them. And so I have that done ahead of time. Again, you don't need to see me die cut a bunch of things. So there are my die cut flowers. Now, if you've already used all these pieces from your kit, just grab some fresh freesia cardstock, which is what I've done on some of my things here. So we've die cut that. Now I also did, and this is where my piece of fresh freesia paper came in handy here, was I also did the exact same thing with the larger image. And I'm not gonna do that now because you don't need to see me, but I stamped it in Versamark, I embossed it with white, and then I sponged over and die cut, just like I did with this, the exact same technique. So I'm just giving myself some leaves or berries or whatever you want to do. So whatever stamps that you have, give yourself another image that you can kind of work off of. Okay. And let's see, what else am I going to use on this card? Oh, okay, so I'm pulling out some die cuts here. Let's see. And I'm going to use a lock and a key. And I'm also going to use, okay, so I've die cut. This is the leaf die cut. Okay, usually we would stamp it and then die cut it, but who says you have to stamp it first? So I've just die cut it out of, and this is the fine shimmer. This is the purple in that fine shimmer pack. And then this leaf here, you can see I just cut it in half. Okay, so basically what you're doing is give yourself some flowers, some leaves, and some pretty accents and a lock and a key, okay, from the kit, as well as a card base from the kit for sure. So we're going to start with that. So this, we've already pretend we've done that. Also grab yourself, we haven't used one of these just yet, but this is one of the label vellums from the card, from the kit itself. And let's use one of the, so this is the skinnier. Is this the skinnier? I can't remember. Let me see here. I can tell. Yeah. So this is this isn't the one where I cut the little hot dogs off the ends. So grab yourself one of these. I've used them all, so I'm like, what do I have left? So, and we're actually going to stamp To My Valentine on the other side. And the reason I switched it up as I was kind of laying things out, I went, I don't want the petal pink in there because I don't have petal pink anywhere in this card. So I flipped it over and I stamped it with Gorgeous Grape. Okay, so anyhow, that's what we're going to use there. So hopefully that's okay that I've done that ahead of time. I was just kind of playing with things going, okay, how am I going to do this? What should we do? So our layout is going to be, instead of a portrait, we're going to have let's switch gears and have a landscape layout, okay? So our layout also is going to need, I have another bow. So here's another, I'm using more of that crazy curly ribbon. It has a mind of its own, this Simply Elegant trim here. So that's going to be, I kind of like to put these down first, because once I do that, then I can add my greeting and then add my elements around it. So first things first, I am going to add my greeting to the vellum here. And you know me, I don't want to add it with glue because I think it kind of gets it warps and gets curly. So I'm using just a little bit of snail, or you can use Seal Plus, but I'm gonna just center this. So, I mean, wow, like that's rocket science right there. And a couple dimensionals on the back of that. That also will hold your vellum in place. And I've left a nice gap in there because that's where the knot of my, of course that's upside down, but that's where the knot of my ribbon here will go. That'll kind of help to have things not have so much bulk. Okay, so now we're going to set this is going to kind of land right up in here, but I'm going to place my images so that I can make sure I have things exactly where I want them. So I'm going to start here, and then we're going to build our composition around that. So we've got a couple hearts. These are roses. Yes. So just bring a couple of those in there, like so. Now I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, make sure, kind of like that first card, I had one high and one low. You can reverse them, but if they get too, you don't want them to look like eyes, okay? And I was doing something, and I'm like, well, those look like ears. I had created a whole face. I'm like, well, that's just kind of silly. Okay, let's add a dimensional for the back of our lock. And we'll add a mini to the back of our key. Same thing. We're just prepping things, getting them ready, and then we will lay them all out. And it's just kind of fun to see some different techniques here. Haven't done an emboss resist, which this is, in a very long time. Okay, so I'm going to, you can kind of see where this is going to go a little bit. Let me kind of lift some of these things up. I'm going to tuck this one down in here. And then my key and my lock are going to swing in there. And then we will add our leaves and give it some nice sparkle and pizzazz. Suzanne says, do you like this kit? I like them the way you are doing them. Yeah, I do. I think this kit has some great pieces. But I really felt, if you weren't here at the beginning, I felt that Valentine's, you've got to say it with flowers. And so I had to bring in a floral set. Because I usually like to just use elements in the kit and a few basic shapes. But I broke my own rule, if you know what I mean. Okay, so I'm going to kind of, I didn't get some dimensionals on these just yet, but I can see I want my one flower in here. Is going to kind of come down in there. And then this one is going to go up a little higher. And again, make sure it's not facing in the same direction. So we've got that one a little higher. Now I'm going to add just a little bit of, I'm just going to do a little bit of pile of snail right there, just to hold my bow in place. And now this is going to go right across that. Okay, there you have it. Make sure it's straight. It's a little crooked. So I'm just going to lift. There we go. Okay, coming along. Now our other pieces are going to just kind of sneak right in there like so. Pretty, 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 pretty. It's kind of nice when everything's all prepped. And all you have to do is peel and stick. Okay, tuck this piece in here. Bring it out. And we'll tuck our key. And I'm going to put a little glue on the top. Just that first time when we had the key poking through the actual keyhole that I put dimensionals up around this. But this is going to kind of lift and stick up on top of that lock, so it doesn't really need a dimensional. Now we can add our leaves in. So for the leaves, and like I said, to make things a little bit more interesting, I cut some of them apart. Don't be afraid to reshape your die cuts. I do it all the time. That's what makes them interesting. That's what makes it all you. And people are going, how did you do that? Well, I reshaped my die. Okay, so I'm going to tuck my leaves, get a little contrast right in there. Okay, and then these two, we'll separate them. And do kind of one high and one low. So I'm going to take the larger of the two and just tuck it right down in here. And then I'll do this other one up above. And there you have it. You know, it's kind of playing around. We're here, here. I think where I had it planned, right there. There you have it. Let's add some, let's really zhuzh it up and make it nice and gooey. Gooey with prettiness. Okay. So these are the same sequins I was using earlier. These are from the holiday catalog. They're left over from that snowflake set. And let's see, we'll just add a bunch of these wherever we'd like. 1, You can add 3, 5, however many you like. Leave some up there. We're just gonna scatter, because I've got this whole thing. Let's use them up. Oops, we don't want that. Hello, that's a dimensional cover. Get out of there. Get. You're not invited. Go away. Okay, that's gone. And we'll do a couple over here for balance. Okay, so I don't even know how many I did. I did 2, 3, I did 6. So just have some fun with those, and then finish it off by splashing her all around. I think I got my hand more than the card, but there you have it. There's our purple pretty card. Pretty pretty. Okay? Now, I have one last thing to show you, and you are going to need a few extra things, and I think I forgot to put this on the list, but that's okay. Just watch and then try it later on. Here's what you're going to need. I love this card. It turned out so pretty. You are going to need a piece of the tissue from your box, okay? And this piece of tissue is about a 5-inch square, 5.5, 6 inch. You do not need to be exact. I also have a piece of white paper, and this is a 3¼ inch square, and I have a 3¼ inch square of adhesive sheet. And I've cut this to this size because this is going to fit the largest circle from Stylish Shapes. So it doesn't have to be Stylish Shapes. In fact, don't even worry, the stitching's not gonna show up all that much. So this circle is about 3 inches across. It doesn't even have to be a circle. But let me show you what we're gonna do. We're gonna do something pretty. Peel your adhesive sheet and stick it onto your white. Get your tissue out of the way. Stick that onto the white. Burnish that on there nicely. And peel this off. Okay, so now I have a super all adhesive covered sheet of white paper. Take your tissue here and wad it up. Okay, all right. And don't totally open it up, still leave it scrunchy in places. And we're going to set it on top of the white paper. Just kind of moosh it on there, just like that. Hopefully you're still with me. You're like, what? We're just making a really, really pretty piece of background paper. Now take your circle die, make sure that you're fully in there, and cut this out. So I'm gonna take that and run that through the machine. And now you are gonna have the prettiest piece of Designer Series paper. Textural, kind of looks like mulberry. It's faux mulberry paper. I think this is a really cool little technique. So there's that technique on white. Let me show you this technique on, so the back of this is the fresh freesia. So you get a completely different look. So, and it's just one layer of tissue paper. We used to do a technique like this where you would use glue and put your tissue paper down, and then you'd like crinkle more on just to soak up all the glue. But wow, with the adhesive sheet, so much cleaner, so much easier. You're not waiting like a day and a half for it to dry. So it's kind of a fresh take on a very old technique of crinkling the tissue. So hopefully you like that, try that. And so this is going to be one of the elements for our card. We're gonna use one of the purple bases here. There's that. And we'll do a similar layout that we've done with a couple of the others, and that is to kind of, you know, this is gonna kind of sit up top. Rather than in the middle or I'm just gonna have it sit towards the top portion of the card. So throw some dimensionals on the back of this guy. And I'm gonna do, looks like I'm gonna do 5 this time. So tell me, what did you think of this paper? Did you like that? Have you done it in a while? Is it new to you? So the tissue paper isn't always a throwaway. Okay, so this is gonna go, I'm giving myself a pretty much of an even edge here, here, and at the top. Okay, so it's a little higher than down below. Other things you're going to need for this card: a key, a lock, of course, and I have one of the labels that has the hot dog sticking out the ends. So Kathleen says everything is new to her. You love it, but you haven't used it. Well, time to use it. Okay, here is, we're clipping off these little pieces, or you could sponge them, but they seem weird to me. So they're coming off. Customize it. Make everything yours. And I didn't cut very straight, so I'm gonna do a better job there. So there's the label that you're going to use. And let's stamp this label with, I like this greeting. I need to put it back on my block. I took it off because we used the hearts. So let me just get that back. So it says, you hold the key to my heart. And this, I'm gonna stamp this one in the polished pink. Okay, polished pink, or you could stamp in the Calypso to kind of pull that in, but we're gonna pump up the polished pink in this card just a little bit more. Okay, and I'm gonna come off to the left just a little bit, not super far, but just a little bit over to the left, then right dead center. Because we're gonna kind of do the same thing we did, and that is to, have a little bit of, there's a little bit of overlap action happening here. So kind of a similar layout. We've seen this before, but here we go again. And we need to do some pretty stamping. So keep your ink pads open and grab your white paper, because we're going to stamp some more flowers and leaves. We're just gonna do a different color combination than what we've done before. And that is, we're going to ink up we're gonna use a different shaped flower too, change it up just a little bit. So this flower, this is a 5-petal flower that's in there. And I'm going to ink up with Petal Pink. So there's Petal Pink, can you see that? Petal Pink ink. And I like to stamp off, so find your scratch paper and stamp off. And now, and I know we would normally blot, but we don't need to blot because we just stamped off. I'm gonna take just a little bit of this polished pink, and I'm just gonna tap a little bit, just a little. Give a huff on that. Pretty, isn't that pretty? That is such a nice spring, and it has an organic look. Rather than just being solid pink, petal pink, or solid polished pink, it has a nice organic look to it. Okay, let's do the same thing. Ink it up in Petal Pink. There's the Petal Pink. Stamp off. And this time, let's add a little bit of the Fresh Freesia. Now this one sometimes turns out a little bit more brown. We'll see what happens. I'm just gonna pounce in a little Fresh Freesia. Give a huff. And you're gonna need 2 flowers total. Ooh, that's pretty too. So it's subtle, and that's okay. That's what I'm going for. Because I want my leaves to be like really crazy. They're gonna be crazy in color. And I'm gonna color these, my leaves are gonna be purple and pink. Yep, no green leaves in this one. So I have clean stamp here, and I'm gonna ink up in Fresh Freesia. So there's Fresh Freesia. Ink it up, and remembering our distinctive process, and that is to kind of blot off. And now I'm going to bring in polished pink. Whoops, here's the other end. The polished pink, so that you can add with your blending brush here. I'm just gonna go ahead and add, I'm gonna be generous with the polished pink here. Give a huff. And there you go. Look at that. Is that not pretty or what? I love it. Okay, let's do that 2 more times because I want 3 sets of leaves. Do I need 3? Actually, I only need 2 sets, so I'll do 1 more set. But sometimes it's fun to just have extras on hand so that you go, yes, no, maybe, I don't know. So there was fresh freesia. Let's tap it. Okay, and then we'll add the polished pink. And, you know, each time kind of pounce the color in different areas than you did the first time so that they have some variety, okay? So there you definitely see that I pounced the polished pink down in the bottom. This time I pounced it up at the top. So kind of, you know, move things around, gives things a little bit more of a, you know, an organic look rather than being so precise. So there's that. You're gonna need to die cut those. And yes, there is a die cut in the organic dyes that fits this flower perfectly. So we'll die cut all those, and I have done those ahead of time. Because like I say, you don't want to sit here and watch me do that. That would just not be fun, for sure, for sure. So let's see, what do I have here? I actually have extras. So here I did some freesia in pink. There's the petal pink and freesia. So we have just some things to choose from for this. And we will need the twine for sure. And we're going to need our gems that we've been using and Wink of Stella, of course. And so that's what we'll be using to finish this card. So let's finish this one up by, I wish I had stamped a little harder, a little darker. It's a little light for me. So I am going to pick of my flowers. I'm going to use these 2, and I'm going to use my, this one here. This one I'm going to put down first. And I'm going to set this one like right about there. And then we'll give it some leaves. And again, I'm going to put my dimensional on the back, just towards the bottom. And we'll tuck that one. I think I'm going to use that one for the other flower. I want this one that's a little bit more intense in color. I'm going to kind of bend the leaves, give them a little curl and a little shape. And this one's going to just tuck right in there like that. Then we'll add our greeting. And it's going to kind of sit under there like so. And you may need, I need a second one. So I'm going to add another dimensional right there because I know I need to even out my label layers. Suzanne says, I used the sticky paper to cut out a million little pieces. I cut it wrong somehow with all my little tiny dies. We're covered in sticky glue. Oh yes. And your machine. Yes, okay. So that's why you have to be really careful when you're using those adhesive sheets to make sure that none of the adhesive is going through your machine. Because you don't want to get it on your plates. That, or you just have to get rid of your plate, but you also end up getting some on the rolling mechanism through the machine. Okay, this piece is going to come in here next. And, you know, it could be there, it could be straight, you know, however you like it. My original here is straight, so I'll do this one straight as well. So just right here like so. I'm using a different lock. The first time I had the bigger shaped lock. That's okay. So there's that. And I'm going to do a flower. I'm going to tuck one under this right in here. So make sure, though, that your flower, I was going to stick it in, but look, it's at the same orientation. So rotate it. Make sure that it's completely different. There's that. We're not going to use that, but we are going to use the leaves. This time we're going to have the leaves get under that petal, decorate right in there. And this key, same drill as we've done on our other cards, and that is to put one down here at the bottom of the key, and then a little glue up top. And we'll add that right like so. Cool. So cool. And this one, I think what I'll do, see if I can do this, is actually tie them together. You know, you can do just a knot, you know, just a glue dot on it and make it have the illusion. But sometimes it's nice just to actually do it. Okay. So let me cut this off so that I can maneuver. Okay, you get the idea. That feels wiggly. Tie this in a bow. Okay, we'll trim that up and add some gems. And then this one will be done. There's that. And look, we are working through these. Somehow I kind of really messed this pack up. I really kind of made them kind of crazy. There's that. We'll do another one up in here. I'm loading it up. I've got all of these, why not, right? Put one in here. And another one way over here. Create a little balance of sequins. There's a little fur ball on that. And we'll do one more up here. So yeah, I've just zhuzhed it up. Why not? Just really load it on there. Have some fun. Okay, last but not least, it needs a little wink of Stella. And I just realized I did this card on the wrong base. I'll show you in just a second what I did here. So we've got two different cards here. So paint these, really make these sparkle and shine. And let me show you my original. I was supposed to, I completely forgot to do it. Do you see the difference? We were supposed to cut an envelope and mount it on a piece of basic white, thick basic white. So if you're wondering what the thick basic white was for, it was for this card. So there it is. This one, the background paper is the envelope. So designer series envelope on here. And this one is with the card base from the kit. It was in reach, man. I just used it. Denise says, love all the flowers added to this kit. Amazing cards. Thank you. Thank you for your sweet comment. Let's take a look. So here is our tissue paper, you know, putting that tissue paper, recycling that tissue paper and making some pretty, pretty backgrounds. We have our purple card. We'll call it the Gorgeous Grape card. We have the Petal Pink card. And this is the one where we took the white ink pad and a sponge to knock down that Mango Melody. And then we have our lovely keyhole cards. Such a great concept. And then we started out with something a little bit simpler with just kind of intertwining the locks at the very, very beginning. So, how did you like it? Let me know. Show me what you're making with the Key to My Heart Paper Pumpkin Kit. Next month, coming up, we have the Paper Pumpkin Sunshine and Smiles Kit. So that will be the first Thursday of March, which is the 2nd. And it's going to be cute. It's going to be a really cute set. So join me then, or join me sooner. Join one of my classes and come to the Backstage Pass. And we have all kinds of stamping going on there every week. Tara, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great week. Have some fun stamping, and I will catch you next time. See you later. Bye-bye.